Hello again. Coming to question time. And some of you have asked, why do we celebrate Jesus' birth on the 25th of December? And it's a really good question. So I kind of knew the answer, but I've done some research for you, and I hope this helps as an explanation. So first of all, we've got a little chart here that looks at the traditional church year. Now, when I say traditional church year, I'm not suggesting that you follow this church year, but it is useful to understand how some churches through the ages, from really the third century onwards, have chosen to create a church calendar of dates and festivals in order to celebrate them. In this chart, what you'll notice is that you've got Christmas Day at the start of the Christmas period. Before that, you've got Advent, which is a time of preparation for Christians for Christmas Day, which traditionally is something like 4 weeks or so. And then you've got ordinary time. Ordinary time basically is saying, well, there's nothing really happening in terms of major festivals. Then you start Lent. Now, Lent is always 40 days, 40 days from Ash Wednesday to Easter Sunday. Of course, Lent is reminder of the 40 days that Jesus spent in the desert fasting. And some Christians fast during Lent. I don't think they fast for 40 days, as in not eating anything, but they might give up certain food or give up luxury food for that 40-day period. And then there's Easter Sunday. Easter Sunday, the Easter period, then ends with Pentecost, of course, the day of Pentecost, celebrating the Holy Spirit coming on the New Testament church in Acts chapter 2. And then there's ordinary time, and we go round again. Now, what's interesting is we will come to Christmas Day on the next slide, but Easter Sunday is always linked to the Passover because we know that Jesus celebrated the Passover with his disciples on the Thursday and then was crucified on the Friday, which traditionally Christians call Good Friday because it's good for us. And then he was buried in the tomb, and on the Sunday after the Sabbath, when the two Marys go to see Jesus and to anoint him with spices, they find the tomb is empty. He has risen on Easter Sunday. So Easter Sunday does actually have some history linking it to Passover, which we know from the gospel accounts was the time of year when Jesus was crucified and died. Pentecost is linked to the Feast of Weeks and is typically some 50 days after the Passover. So Pentecost as a date in a church calendar does link to the Feast of Weeks, which is a Jewish festival, obviously like Passover is a Jewish festival. So those two we can see have some kind of biblical or Old Testament or Jewish tradition behind them. But where does Christmas Day come from? That's a little bit harder. So let's have a look at this slide. Well, first of all, Christmas Day as the 25th of December, as in the birth of Jesus. Well, it's 25th of December is not mentioned in the Bible. And in fact, no festival is mentioned around the birth of Jesus. So it's not linked to an Old Testament or a Jewish festival like Easter and Pentecost. Looking in the research for you, the feast of Christmas Day for the birth of Jesus, the evidence we have is that it was first celebrated by Christians in Rome. That's in AD 336. So that's roughly 300 years after Jesus's death. But the custom rapidly spread throughout the Christian kingdoms, and most of what we call the Western Church celebrates Christmas Day on the 25th of December. Possible reasons. Now, these really are possible reasons. They're not definite at all. Because as I say, it's not in the Bible, it's not linked to Old Testament Jewish festivals. So these reasons might be helpful for you, they might not. So there's two possible reasons that I've come across in my research, but there could well be others. First of all, 25th of December was the same date as the Roman birth of the sun, and that was set up in AD 274. And the suggestion is the Christians chose that date, the 25th of December, deliberately to oppose the Roman cult and to declare Jesus as the Son of Justice. Interestingly, Malachi, a prophet in the Old Testament, in chapter 4, verse 2, refers to the Son of Justice coming. So they may have seen that reference and said, no, no, the Roman son isn't the one, it's Jesus. So we've chosen the same day to make that point, to oppose it. So that's one theory. Another theory is that the date of death that we think of is the 25th of March, approximately, in terms of Passover. And there was a Jewish tradition that conception and death for famous people happened on the same day. So if the date of conception was round about 25th of March, then the date of birth is 9 months later, the 25th of December. Neither of these are definite, they're possibles. So there isn't really a biblical basis for celebrating Jesus' birth. I think my view is these Christian celebrations, Easter, Pentecost, and Christmas, are a great way of being evangelistic. So you can have a feast, you could even invite your local villagers to join some of the feast with you, where you explain why you're celebrating and what is so good about Jesus. So at Christmas, you say, Jesus has come, the Son of God has come in human form so that he could be like us, experience humanity for us, live amongst us, and teach us the way to heaven. In Easter, we say that same Jesus needed to die in our place so that we could have life. And that's what we celebrate there. At Pentecost, we say we can't live the Christian life on our own. We err too much to sin, but God's Holy Spirit has been given on Pentecost to help us live good lives. So all great reasons to celebrate, but I'm not suggesting you have to follow the traditional church calendar. That's entirely up to you and your church. But at least you know some of the background now, and I hope that's helped you. Talk again soon.